All right, y'all. So this is going to be Kinstretch specifically for your golf swing. So regardless on if you're a big golfer or not, even if you just like going to the range sometimes, or if you play a lot and you're pretty competitive, um, you'll be able to benefit from the joint work that we'll go through today. So based on your swing, if you swing right-handed or left-handed, just adjust the way that we perform the specific, at least for your thoracic and shoulder rotation. So I swing right-handed, so I'll be working on my bottom hand adduction, and then my top hand external rotation. So you can just follow me if you swing right-handed. Just switch that today if you swing left-handed. Okay, so in terms of equipment, you'll just need some blocks, uh, something for your knee. So if you have a mat or something that you're comfortable with, that's perfect. A foam roller is optional, but you if you're excuse me, if you can also just use the ground as well. And then I have a dumbbell, but you can also use your wall with some blocks stacked up, um, for what we're going to do with that today. And then also optionally PVC pipe, um, just for some stability. And then if you want a little bit more feedback on your shoulder work, you can use that for that as well. But I'll try to talk through that during it. So let's just get started, um, with some spinal segmentation. Okay, so let's start at that low back, trying to segment one vertebra at a time best we can. Head comes up last, and then start back at that low back. Again, trying to segment one vertebra at a time. Big exhale, push everything away. Two more like that, just moving right at your own pace. Good. Head comes up last. And then start back at that low back. Exhale, push everything away. Let's go one more each. So I'll say this is a good class that can be used, honestly, before you go play or swing. And let's start back at that low back. Or after. Um, it's not going to be super duper intense, but this will be good prep and just workspace for your overall golf swing. Okay, so after spinal, let's go thoracic. Give yourself a big hug. You don't have to be in this tall kneeling position. You can also stand. So let's flex forward, rotate, or be seated. Drop that shoulder blade. Come up, extend through the upper back, shoulder blade towards the other back pocket. Laterally flex. Come all the way back forward. Let's go one more that way. So like I said, our focus today is moving at your own pace with this thoracic car. It's going to be work space. Let's take it back. It's going to be thoracic workspace on the way that you rotate in terms of your backswing is what I'm talking about. And then your bottom hand, adduction. One more, thoracic car this way, which is like your fists moving in towards your midline. Good, like this. So, when you're swinging back, that one. Rotation of that top hand comes into rotation when you get up there. And then um, hip rotation, which we know is the most important when it comes to power. Okay, so we're going to start on our thoracic right now. So if you want to grab your foam roller if you have it, or like I said, you can just use the ground like this and just rotate. And our pails and rails you can just do just like this, but I just like having the foam roller because you can rotate a little bit easier. Okay, so let's if you're using the foam roller, you want, I have my right hand in front and it's strong and straight, and then my left hand is on the bottom under. Okay, so I'm keeping that right arm strong and straight. Like I said, if you swing left-handed, you'll be the opposite on this. Okay, so we're gonna rotate as much as you can so you feel a nice stretch through. It should be like your oblique area, maybe the back of your shoulder, but make sure that both arms are nice and strong and straight, and you're rotating through the spine and not just like trying to protract your shoulder. Okay, so we're looking for that stretch. And then with our next breath, we're going to start a light pale contraction. So let's take a big breath in, brace, and then you're going to lightly start to drive the back of your left fist down into that foam roller, block, or ground. So it's called about 20% max effort. Okay, with the next breath, let's see if we can push a little bit harder, maybe 30 or 40%. We're going to breathe and hold that. So you should have a nice contraction through like the outside of your shoulder, your lat area here. Just keep that tension right now, 30-40%. The next breath, let's see if we can drive a little bit harder, just maybe 50 or 60% max effort. I'm just going to hold that. Your whole body should be nice and tight. Driving down into that ground or block. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. We'll go right to rails contraction. So 3, 2, 1. Now if you're using the foam roller, I'm going to try to push it away. So I'm trying to rotate my spine more this way. Same if you're on the ground. Now rails. Now you're thinking length through your upper back. Make sure that front arm stays nice and strong and straight. Because if not, then you're going to start to compensate through somewhere else. Okay, so it should be really fired up, like on that whole left side of your oblique area right now. So you're really actively driving away. Not as hard as you can, but enough to feel that light burn. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. Take a couple recovery breaths. We're going to see if we can rotate a little bit further. We're going to go one more like that. Okay, so let's take a big breath in. Brace the core. Let's start to drive the back of that fist straight down into the block or ground, whatever you're using. 20% max effort. So you're trying to rotate the torso down and into whatever you're using, not really trying to just flex your fist into there. Okay, next breath. Let's push a little harder. Let's go maybe 30-40% max effort. Good tension through that whole body. You should really feel the upper back, shoulder fired up right now. Let's go a little harder, 50-60% max effort. Breathe, keep pushing. Okay, if you feel okay, just a little bit harder, 70%, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Rails, 2, 1. Now see if you can rotate more that way. through that upper spine. Again, making sure that left or that right arm is strong and straight. Length through your upper back. Breathe and keep driving. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, you can come up out of there. Just going to do a couple axials here on that side, 2 cars, and then we're going to move into our shoulder work. Okay, so we're going to go down in flexion. We're just going to go 2 reps for 10 seconds here. So all upper back. You're going to rotate as much as you can. We're fighting for max rotation for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. One more. Good tension, rotate. Fight for that rotation. Drive as much as you can for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to go right into 1 thoracic car each way. So you're going to drop that shoulder blade back towards the back pocket. Extend up. Rotate. Shoulder blade towards the other back pocket. Laterally flex. All the way back. Then let's just do 1 more back the other way. Rotate. Laterally flex. Drop that shoulder blade as we extend. Shoulder blade towards the other back pocket. Laterally flex. All the way down to that starting position. Nice. Okay, so next up, if you need, I'm gonna actually grab some water. Grab some water real quick. Okay, and now we're gonna work on our bottom hand adduction. All right, so we're gonna be in the sideline position. Like I said, if you swing right-handed, this is gonna be your left arm here, and then if you swing left-handed, it's gonna be your opposite arm. All right, so what we're gonna be working on is adduction here. So if you have your couple blocks, you want to get to a spot, you want to be neutral in your shoulder here, and then you want to get to a spot where you can't lift off of these blocks. Okay, so I'm going to put it up a little higher. Yeah, so right there. Okay, so you should feel like a contraction through your pec, maybe a little stretch on the outside of your shoulder. Okay, so we're just going to go. Once you find that stretch, we're going to take a big breath in. And then start a nice pales contraction. So back, basically what we were just doing, now just for the shoulder. We're going to be driving straight down into that block. So it's about 20% pales right now. Let's double that tension. 40. Okay, let's keep pushing harder. 50, 60. Just breathe and hold that tension. Okay, a little bit harder. 70. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. 1 set of rails. So now get good tension. You're thinking like you're almost punching your fist away from your body and trying to lift it straight up using the inside of that shoulder, or you might feel your pec muscles but think lengthen up. So breathe, hold. Just one rails here. And then we're going to do some active work. So you're lengthen up through that fist. So you should really feel that pec here, nice and fired up. Just breathe, keep that tension for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, now you're going to get to a spot where you can lift it, and we're just going to do some active lift offs. Okay, so 3 for 10 seconds. So we're going to get good tension, exactly like we were just doing rails. Length and lift, hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax. 2 more. Good tension, length, and lift. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax. Last one. Good tension, lift. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Okay, so we just got a couple shoulder cars on that side. And then we're going to switch to external rotation of the other shoulder. So hopefully you feel nice and open on this side. I wouldn't say do this right before going to golf, but say, maybe you have an afternoon tea time and you want to move in the morning, or you can always just tone down the intensity of your pails and rails if you are doing this as a warm up as well. Okay. All right. So external rotation right now of your top hand. Okay. So this will be my right hand, and this is where the PVC is optional. But if you have, pretend like this is a wall, and if you say stack a couple blocks here like this, you can line up just like this, just so it's far enough so you have some space in that hand, and that'll work just fine for this. Okay. But if you do, or if you have a PVC and you can put it on the wall, I just like how the PVC feels in terms of feeling my shoulder here. Okay, but this is going to be our setup. So we're going to be in this quad position. Okay, so 90 degrees of your shoulder and elbow. And then to find your stretch, you're just going to walk your upper body away from the fist until you get a nice stretch in the outside of that shoulder. Okay? So just breathe for a second here. Look for the stretch. You see we have a theme here, but we are going to start doing some kinetic stretching in this position and then in our hip position as well. Okay? So let's take a big breath in. Once we find the stretch, brace the core, and then just very lightly, 10, 20%, start to drive that PVC or fist into your block. So let's say it's 20% right now. So the elbow's heavy, your fist is heavy, driving into whatever you're using. Just breathe and just hold that tension. Okay, let's double it up. 40% max effort. A little harder. 50, 60. Just keep that tension best you can. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, right to rails. 2, One. Now, elbow heavy. Now, if you're using the PVC, you're trying to pull it off by rotating through your shoulder here. Okay, so you don't want to be like flexing your wrist. You want to really be trying to rotate through the shoulder. So that's what I like to say. Elbow super heavy. I'm trying to rotate, try to peel that thing off rail. So you should feel it nice and in like the back of your shoulder here. So it's gonna go 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, see if you can walk yourself out a little bit more. If not, it's just fine where you're at. Okay, we're gonna go right into one more. So let's take a big breath in. Brace the core. Inhale, start to drive that fist or PVC into your block at 20% max effort. 40. 60. A little bit harder. 70. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, rails. 2, 1. Try to rotate and peel the fist off and hold. Keep driving. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, so from here, we're going to go through 3 kinetic stretches, okay? So you should be at your in range right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to initiate a pales contraction. You're going to drive that fist or PVC into your block, about 40 or 50% max effort. Hold that tension. Slowly rotate your upper body back towards your shoulder. So you get to about neutral, then rails. So now you're going to try to rotate off. You might actually be able to, which is just fine. But hold that tension and then rotate yourself. So you should go back to your in range as you rotate back to your starting position. Okay, 2 more like that. Pales into the block. Slowly rotate your upper body towards the front. Rails, try to rotate off. Slowly rotate your upper body back to your starting position. Once more, pales into the block. Rails. And nice. Okay. 2 cars on that side. And then we just got the hips next. Okay, so last but not least. So you see we're going to end up doing 2 sets of pails and rails. And then 1 set of 3 kinetic stretch on each side for internal and external rotation. Okay, so I'm going to be using this and I'm just going to switch sides. But if you're like, pretend this is your wall and you just have the blocks like this out far enough, because it's going to be the first, we're going to start with the inside leg on the block. And then, like I said, I'm just going to switch sides. But if you're using it, then you just have to flip. And then you'll have the outside leg on it. All right. Okay. So starting this half kneeling position. Okay. So first we're going to work on some internal rotation, hip extension. All right. So nice and upright. Very important to tuck the pelvis here the whole time, so you should feel a nice stretch on the front of your hip. Like you can shift forward, but if you're just like if your pelvis is not tilted, then you can shift the whole bunch. So make sure your pelvis is tilted. Feel that stretch, and then you're gonna internally rotate. So hips stay forward, and you're rotating the upper body as much as you can this way to get a nice stretch right on the outside of that hip. Okay, so just kind of explore a little bit where you feel a good stretch. You can have the option to bring the knee out a little bit if you want to feel the groin just a little bit more in this stretch. Okay, so just find it, take a second, make sure your pelvis is tucked. So what I mean by that is belt buckle up towards your chest. Okay, now once you find the stretch, we're going to start with the light pails. So let's take a big breath in, knee heavy, and you're going to just try to rotate the ankle into that block or dumbbell or whatever that you're using. Okay, so again, knee heavy here, and you're trying to push that block or wall away, or I guess towards your midline. So you should really feel the inside of that thigh, glute. With the next breath, let's see if we can double that tension. 40% max effort. Again, keep the knee nice and heavy, so you're trying to rotate the whole hip, not just push the ankle into the block. Okay, let's get a little bit harder here, maybe 50% or so. Hold. And slowly relax. Right to rails. 2, 1. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to drive the knee down. You're trying to rotate the hip in towards your midline. It's almost like you're trying to peel the foot away from the block, but using your hip. Okay, so it should feel nice and crampy right here. Think light on the foot, heavy on the knee, so you're trying to rotate. So just breathe, hold that rails. Less is more. I'd rather you feel it deep into the hip rather than, maybe torquing your knee or flexing your ankle. Okay, just keep that tension for 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Take a couple recovery breaths. See if you can rotate yourself a little bit more. Pull yourself a little deeper into that rotation. Okay, let's start our next one. So big breath in. Let's start pails. Rotate the ankle into the block. 20% max effort. You should really feel that hip joint. Nice and contracted right now. Deep into the joint. Okay, let's double it up. 40. Should have good tension through that PVC or whatever you're using. Okay, let's keep ramping. 50, 60. Hold that tension, keep rotating. A little bit harder. 70. Hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Rails. 2, 1. Try to rotate now that hip more internally. So you're trying to think in like this, light on the foot. Really crampy here on the outside, the inner thigh working. Keep fighting for that rotation. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, now we're going to go right to a kinetic stretch from here. Okay, so I'm already at my in range. What you're going to do is you're going to initiate that pales contraction. So you're rotating into the block. And slowly rotate the upper body back forward, keeping that tension, rotating into the block. And now you're going to switch to rail, so it's fine if your foot actually rotates off. You're going to hold that tension and then slowly pull yourself back to your in range. Okay, 2 more like that. Pales. Rotate away. And then rails. Rotate towards the back foot. Okay, 1 more. Pales into the block. Slowly rotate back forward. And then rails, try to rotate off of the block using the hip. Slowly rotate yourself back to your in range. Whew. Okay. 1 side down. Now we're going to switch this to external rotation. Okay, so you see I'm just switching to the other side. Okay. Now you want the block on the outside of that same leg that we were just working. Okay. So we're only going to end up doing 1 set of external rotation since our internal is super fired up right now. It's going to be a bit longer set. Okay. So now again, tuck the pelvis, rotate away. So you get a nice stretch, maybe a little bit more in the inner groin here. All right, now we're going to take a big breath in. And then we're going to start to rotate again into the block right now. So now you're trying to internally rotate technically your hip right now, but we're in external rotation. So now you should really feel like the inner thigh working. Glute, we're just at 20% max effort, rotating out into that block. Just breathe and hold that tension. Like I said, this is 1 set, a little longer. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can push a little bit harder. 30, 40% max effort. So again, knee super heavy. You're gluing the outside of that foot or ankle into that block, but using the hip. Okay, let's keep ramping. 50, 60. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, now 1 set of rails. 3, 2. Now knee heavy. Now you're trying to scoop the foot back this way off of the block. So again, the outside of that glute should be nice and fired up right now. Just keep that tension. Try not to intentionally flex the hamstring here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, right to a kinetic stretch here. So start to rotate the back of that foot into the block as we slowly rotate back forward. And then rails, try to scoop off of the block. Again, it's fine if your foot actually comes off. Slowly come back. 2 more pails into there. And then rails, try to scoop off as we're rotating away. Okay, last one. Pails, rotate into that block. Slowly rotate back forward. And then rails all the way back. Whew. Okay, we're going to hit the next side. Okay, so if you need to take a second, just grab one more. Okay, hopefully you felt that work from that side. Now we're going to switch it up. Okay, so we're going to start back on that internal rotation. All right, so whatever leg you didn't just do. Now that dumbbell or block is on the inside of that leg. Okay, nice and upright. Tucking that pelvis. And then slowly rotating your upper body towards that back leg until you get that nice stretch in your groin, glute. Again, we're just going to take a second here, find that stretch, adjust however you need to. If you need that knee to come out a little bit, further to get a little bit more stretch in that groin, feel free. I always think that feels the best, personally. Just really remember that pelvis tucked, so you're getting that hip extension plus that rotation. Okay, here we go. So let's take a big breath in. Brace the core, knee heavy, and just lightly 10-20% max effort on this side. Start to rotate into that block. So you see one side might feel a little different than the other. This side for me is a little bit weaker, so my radiation is not as high to feel a better contraction. So just listen to your body. Let's double it up though. 40. Keep rotating nice and heavy into that ankle. Okay, a little bit harder. 50, 60. Let's hold that tension. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, right to rails. 2, 1. Now you're trying to rotate that lower leg off of the block. Using that hip though, so I like to say heavy knee and try to almost slide your leg back and out, so I can really get the outside of that hip to contract pretty well, but also make sure that your core stays tight, so it's just staying in that glute, hip, and not your lower back. Just breathe and hold that rails just enough so you can feel it. It doesn't have to be a max effort. I don't want you cramping ideally. It should feel pretty intense.
Just breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, see if you can rotate yourself a little bit more. Maybe get a little bit more adduction on this one. I guess that's abduction. Okay. So once you get that deeper stretch, let's get our last pails and rails here. So big breath in, brace up, and let's start to rotate that ankle into the dumbbell, 20% max effort. Okay, let's double it up. 30, 40. Should be really intense through that glute inner thigh, especially if you have a more restricted side. Should be super duper gnarly in there. Okay, let's keep ramping a little bit. 50, 60. Okay, a little bit harder if you can. Hold 70 for 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Rails. 2, 1. I'll try to rotate that lower leg off of the block and hold. So, yep, heavy knee, light on that foot. Sorry, I think I zoned out for a second. Into this rails contraction. Okay, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, right to our kinetic stretch. Let's rotate that ankle into the block. 50% max effort. Slowly rotate the upper body back towards the front. And now rails, try to rotate off. It's fine if the foot comes off. Slowly rotate yourself back to your in range. Pails into the block. Slowly rotate yourself back forward. And then rails. Try to rotate off. Slowly pull yourself back into your in range. One more here. Pails into the block. Slowly rotate yourself. Back forward. And then rails. Slowly rotate back. Ooh, man, that's intense on that side. Okay, last thing. So now we're going to work on the external rotation here. So we're just going to switch sides, flip around. If you're, using your wall or block. Okay, and now that block is on the outside of that foot. We're nice and upright, tucking that pelvis. Let's rotate as much as we can this way until we get a nice stretch through that inner thigh groin area. So we're pulling ourselves into external rotation right now. And we got our one low long pails and rails. So let's take a big breath in, brace the core, and let's start to rotate that foot into the block. 20% max effort. Just breathe, just looking for that contraction on the outside of the glute right now. Breathe and drive. Okay, let's double it up. Maybe 30, 40% max effort. Breathe and hold. So really make sure that knee is driving super heavy into the ground. So you're rotating through the hip and not just flexing your ankle into the block. Just keep driving. Okay, let's see if we can ramp up a little harder. 50, 60. Hold. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Man, that's crazy. Okay, rails. 2, 1. Now you're trying to scoop that foot back and in. So you're trying to peel that ankle off of the block. Oops. But using the inner thigh, glutes. So less is more on rails. Again, just want to feel it through those regressive muscles, like on the inner thigh area. Just breathe and hold that tension. Keep driving rails. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly relax. Okay, let's hit our kinetic stretch. 3. So we're going pails right now. Rotating into the block about 40, 50% max effort. Keeping that tension and slowly rotating the upper body back forward. And then rails. Try to scoop the foot off. Slowly rotate. Boom. Okay, pails, scoop. Oh, sorry. Pails, drive. Got distracted for a second. Rotate back forward. Rails, try to scoop the foot off using the hip. Rotate back to your in range. Last one. Pails into the block. Slowly rotate away. And then pails, or rails, I'm sorry. Scoop. Rotate back towards your in range. Whew. Okay, we're just gonna wrap this all up with some cars, and then that's a wrap. So we'll go sideline, 2 each. So if you want to use that block, bottom hand pulling, top hand punching. Let's slowly start to drive up, back, rotate, and then boom, up, all the way. Once more. Just moving at your own pace here. Rotate, and straight back up. Let's switch. Yep, so just make sure you're keeping that core nice and tight here. You do want to be reaching for that in range, but obviously still pain free. Hopefully, you feel some relief in those hips from when you first started this and you're ready to go get after it at some point on the course. And nice. That's a wrap, y'all.